Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
What are your thoughts about where the economy is at the moment? All-time high inflation rates, forex disaster, so to speak.
It is. The situation is dire, and before the year runs out, that inflation point would actually go higher, right? Because I actually don't see effective policies being implemented. As a matter of fact, we are supposed to be implementing functional policies with a state of emergency rapidity, that is urgency, right? And I'm not saying that happened. This government is about 4 months old, and it's pretty much like the status quo. It's pretty much like status quo, and I wouldn't even say status quo. We've gone from good to bad, So really, but when we talk about the economy, Nigeria is in a bad shape because past politicians who led Nigeria were really clueless as to how to run a nation. I said on this radio station a couple of years ago that countries must be run as businesses, right? If any businessman, if Dangote ran his company like politicians have run Nigeria, the last couple of years, he'll be out of business, right? Okay. Countries must be run like businesses. That means you must get competent hands, people who understand economics, people who understand human leadership, people who understand policies to run things, right? As we can see, it's not just national, it's happening in Enugu as well. And like I said, it's simply because we lost, we failed to jump at opportunities to industrialize, right? So there are two things you have to consider. Why Nigeria is where it is today economically. There are many reasons, but I want to talk about two. One is the high cost of the dollar. Two is the high cost of petroleum products, right? So I'll start with the dollar. When you talk about the demand, supply and demand curve, if you start buying any product right now, it doesn't matter what that product is. If demand is higher than supply, what you will see is, soaring prices, right? So the demand for the dollar is very, very high in Nigeria. And so what that naturally does to the dollar is give it more value. And so that demand alone makes the dollar very expensive. Now, you have to ask yourself, why is the demand for the dollar very high in Nigeria? It's because we failed to industrialize. So I would tell you that 80% or more of what we consume in Nigeria as Nigerians are imported, right? Okay. And to import those things, you need to get the dollar or the euro or the yuan or whatever foreign currency, that our major trade partners use. You have to buy these from them, right? And so what you're doing is that you're taking your naira to the bank or to the black market and exchanging it for this foreign currency so that you can go to their countries and buy these commodities that we consume. Now, as long as we continue to do that, the values of these currencies will continue to rise, right? And Nigerians will continue to go poorer and poorer and our economy is drained, right? Because what we're doing is that all your hard-earned money, Yagazi, that money that you're paid at the end of a month, that money that I earn every month, we all take it, go to the market, give it to the trader who sells beverages, toothpick, clothing, or whatever. Now, these things that we're purchasing come from overseas. So we give them our naira in exchange for these commodities or services. What they do in turn is gather these billions of naira that Nigerians spend monthly, convert them to foreign currencies, and ship them out of the Nigerian economy. That movement of cash out of the Nigerian economy is what's draining our economy and destroying our economy. And so I have said a number of times that it's not rocket science to get Nigeria working again. What we need to do is declare a state of emergency on industries or industrialization. So with this new government, what I expected is for them to open up the Nigerian economy, call for investors. If there's somebody in China who wants to come here, as a matter of fact, we should insist, if you want to continue to do business with Nigerians, come here, set up a factory. We will not continue to come there to buy stuff from you. We need companies to come here and set up. So if they're coming from Indonesia or China, they want to set up a factory, bring them on. Hey, come on, we'll give you tax holidays, 7 days tax holidays, 10 years tax holidays. But the problem is that politicians are looking at, if you give them tax holidays as a bait, that you're going to be losing that enormous tax that they're supposed to, pay into government IGR. But you're forgetting that if you bring them here to set up factories and they employ thousands of Nigerians, these thousands of Nigerians pay income taxes. And so you gain taxes from there as well. So what we must do now is scale industries. Enugu State must do the same thing, Scale industries.
Okay, skill
Enugu
industries.
State must
All
do
right.
that. Nigeria must do that as a matter of urgency. Bring in, go out, send people out to hunt for investors. You know, when I was living overseas, I represented, I was in charge of the West African market for a company overseas. And part of my duty was to liaise with, companies here to come do business there. So it is international practice. You must send people out to go find investors who I know are interested in working with Nigeria, give them dates and bring them here. So that's that on the dollar. Then on the other hand, off the Naira, of the petroleum product, I said that this government was most irresponsible when on the first day of office, what you did was cancel the subsidy without putting things in place to make sure that Nigerians don't suffer a lot. Nigerians are suffering. Do you know how many Nigerians have died as a result of the pressure? People have died of strokes or heart attacks because it's not feasible. You must have known that making that policy on that day would put Nigerians into enormous suffering. Okay, and so you remove subsidy without this government to do something responsible. Either take back, bring back the subsidies until you can stabilize the economy, stabilize prices.
There are allegations that the subsidy is back already.
I think it must be, because if you're telling me if the cost of landing cost is at 720 and you're selling at 620, that means somebody is paying subsidy and not telling us the truth.
Right.
So what I think they should do.
The federal government has denied that, but Pengerson is insisting, marketers are insisting.
You don't need to. You can deny it all you want. Yeah, they can deny it all they want. The facts are there. We're buying fuel at the pump price for 620, right?
Yes.
And they're telling us that the landing cost is 720. So what happens to that difference? Who's paying it? Somebody is paying it, right? So it's either they come out and take it back to default where it was when he took office, or speedily set up modular refineries in the Niger Delta. People are illegally refining these products every day and selling them and making a lot of money. So that is to say that we had technology to actually do this on a state-to-state basis.
There is an argument about the quality of what the modular.
Forget it. You wouldn't know. You wouldn't know the difference.
And also, the different levels of products that can be achieved when it's a bigger, refinery that can diffuse these things and make
these
out
modular refineries
products.
Get all of it. Yeah. They get all of it because the processes are the same. It's just
some of them don't hit the levels of kerosene, and
they get all of it.
Other ones that
they get all of. They get diesel. I've seen videos. I've seen videos from these people, and they tell you all the products they get. It's the heating level. You increase the heating level, you achieve different kinds of products, right? They have the technology. So what we need to do is, instead of open up that sector. Yes, people who are doing it illegally, arrest them and all of that. But take advantage of the knowledge that is out there. Make the product abundant, in the marketplace, and prices will fall. Nigerians are really suffering. That's my point. And so these two factors are actually, destroying the Nigerian economy as we stand right now. So you need to take care of the dollar by scaling industries and making sure. I want to quickly say this. I wanted to say it when we delve into, discussing the state. Right. Now, let me explain to you why. I've touched on it a little bit, but the reason Nigeria is suffering this much is because everything we consume comes from outside. Right? So we need to put industries here that manufacture everything from beverages to toothpick to clothing. Now, do you know the textile industry is a global multi-billion-dollar industry? Now, I've said this. Look at you, guys. Look at James here. Everything you guys are wearing are coming from overseas. And this is the same in every office as I speak to you. Every home right now, Nigerians are wearing more of foreign goods, foreign clothing than the local ones. That means we're spending our hard-earned money and sending them overseas, giving them capacity to build more industries, grow their economies while we drain ours. So what we need to do is partner with textile industries who can come into Nigeria, take our local textile, make them into beautiful, clothing, so that we can spend our money on local produce and keep our money, working for the economy. The same thing with beverages. The same thing with meat. Why should we import corned beef from Brazil? Brazil is pretty much a country like Nigeria. So why should we import corned beef from Brazil? So if we need meat, farm meat, invest in farmers. Okay, put money in livestock and crop farming so that we will have enough farmers producing enough food. Now, invest in the middle ground, which is processing of agro raw materials into finished goods, right? When you do this, you create jobs. More people will go into farming because they are seeing the amount of money going into agriculture to produce cassava, maize, millet, whatever it is. When you pump money into that production sector, it will be attractive for even young people to go in and start setting up farms. Now, when they set up farms and you have invested in the middle ground, now the middle ground will be the off-taker for the producers. Right? And the farmer knows that every time I farm tomatoes, oh, there is already a ready market for my tomatoes. That will encourage him to scale more. Right? And the maize guy knows, okay, there are cereal industries that are processing that need my maize. It will encourage him to scale more. And so to scale more, he needs more hands. Right? The middle ground is taken off from them. So what you would have achieved is a viable, economy built around agriculture. Now, the middle ground, which is a processor, processes, sells to the local market at a reduced cost because everything is produced locally. The excesses will now go to export. Now, that is where you tie up all the loose ends, the export. We need to export heavily so that we can attract forex that will help us, run the economy and make our currency stronger.
The CBN has lifted, forex bans on about 43 items.
That's crazy.
The country is going to be importing rice, meat related. You mentioned corned beef already,
Yes.
toothpick,
Yeah.
the very controversial one.
It's
So
crazy.
it seems like some sort of dilemma for the
Yeah.
country economically. Double jeopardy. Do we entirely cut off this importation so that we can grow the local economy? But then the prices of everyday products are on the high.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
this morning we were talking about it and people were divided. People said, okay, the local farmers are selling rice, for instance, at a very high price from their own
It's
perspective.
price on that list, right?
Yes, rice is on that list. And they want the federal government to open up so that people can import rice so that the prices would go down.
Yes.
You can imagine what this might
That's
do to
shameful.
the local
Yes,
farmers
that's really
now.
shameful.
But then the everyday person is crying because the prices of food
Are going
items
up.
are on the high. So this double jeopardy, how does the state manage it?
Yeah, so okay, look at it. They're desperate. They're not only ashamed, they are afraid, right? That there could be anarchy, right? Because really, if the prices keep going up, people are going to hit the streets, right? Now, what they want to achieve is use China to reduce prices, but that's shameful for a government to do. It's a very shameful thing, right? Now, China is heavily industrialized and so manufacture cheap goods. Now, instead of copying what China did to manufacture cheap goods, you now want to use China, you want to fall back on China, right? And you're forgetting that when these items were banned, many business people took loans and opened up industries to provide these services. But unfortunately, the Nigerian population is so high that their work is just like a drop of pin in an ocean. So it looks like it's not working. So if you open up the sector for importation again, what you're doing is that these businesses will begin to suffer because they can't compete anymore. Right? And what they're going to do is that they're going to shut down. They won't be able to pay the loans. The banks are going to lose that money. People are going to go to jail. People are going to die. It's going to set off a chain of events that are going to be negative. Right? And so on the other hand, what they also are trying to achieve is to make it look like, okay, now things are not so bad. The government is working. No. What they should do, like I said, is send people all over the world to go find foreign direct investment. We need foreign direct investment quick, and investments that can be handled immediately with absolute rapidity, so that you go to China and talk to the Chinese Chamber of Commerce and tell them, hey, listen, we need a meeting with your people. You send a high-powered delegation. They go to China, meet with the different chambers of commerce there and tell them, hey, listen, Nigeria is open for investment. We'll give you tax holidays. We'll give you these incentives. As a matter of one month, 2 months, you'll see Chinese down here setting up factories. You go to the UK, it's the same thing. You go to Cambodia, it's the same thing. You go to Brazil, it's the same thing.
Is the tax the only thing stopping them from coming down here?
No, security is the thing.
Yeah.
But there's this kind of incentive you'll give a businessman, right? He'll look at all he stands to gain. He'll weigh the pros and the cons, and he'll say that the profit is better, then he'll risk it, right? Because if you actually, businessmen don't think about that kind of risk. Because if you're waiting for any country to be good before you go there, then you'll get there and all the opportunities have been taken. People went to invest in Iraq with all the insecurity, right? People went to invest in Afghanistan with all the insecurity. So businessmen really don't think about that. They think about profitability, right? So we need to first of all ensure that 24-hour power is put in place. And that means you must open up the power industry, right? Any stronghold on the power industry must be removed.
It has been done.
It has been done?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So let people start investing. We need investors who will start now We don't need people who will take licenses and go keep them
Enugu State signed
and look.
a deal that
Now, what
enables it
I
to-
heard about
yes.
that, but since they signed that, one has been done. Have they released a tender? Have they released a call for tender? What are they doing? We don't want people, doing policies and letting these policies sit still, wasting. We need people who will come now. Now, come and start doing stuff, right? There are different technologies. There are different technologies that you can use to generate power. 2015, I came back from overseas and I brought it. I was supposed to bring a company from Germany that was going to do a waste to energy project. What they wanted to do is take all this energy that SRAMA is grappling with. They'll make it disappear, convert it to energy and extract some chemicals from it that will also be exported. It would have been a win-win for Enugu State, and Enugu State government would not have spent a dime of its own money. This company said, all we need is a right hand of fellowship. Give us a piece of land where we'll set up. There was an European Union fund for that project. I went to the Commissioner of Environment here and told him about this.
Who was the commissioner?
I don't know his name, but he's a chief.
Okay.
Even if I knew the name, I wouldn't want to call that on radio.
Okay.
I've forgotten his name. I went to him after looking for him for months. You'll go by 10 o'clock. Commissioner is not there. You go by 11. Commissioner is not there. For weeks and months, I kept going. When I eventually found him, I said, sir, this is the project at hand. And these people don't need your money. He said, oh, yeah, it's a good project. But we already have two companies wanting to do the same thing, and so we're going to work with them. This was 2015. This is 2014. Where are the projects? And I shamefully told the Germans, hey, listen, it won't work. They're not interested. And so that would have taken all of this energy, all of this waste you're seeing, converted to Stockholm. Stockholm is being powered by a waste to energy factory. And so we can do that. We can also do a house by house electrification project where you actually, I'm giving you now my business secret, where you actually come and power many houses in the state with solar and strong batteries, and put up a billing system where every house is powered by the energy it generates, and you still build them, and the state generates money. So what you do is you power residentials from a different set of grids, and then every other thing that on the national goes to an industrial park somewhere. These are kinds of projects that we can do to actually develop the state or develop Nigeria. It's not rocket science. It's just that these people are not creative and they refuse to bring people who have the solutions. So I'll stop there for now.
All right. So, like the federal government has done what it believes is the best at this point in time, lifting the ban on these items. It's supposed to.
Sorry, I didn't finish on that.
Okay.
It's a very wrong policy, because what you're doing by lifting that ban again is that you're sending more you're forcing us to spend more of our naira to acquire more hard currencies, so that Nigerians can buy this. So you're draining our economy by opening up these sectors. Okay, that is not the solution. So I'm talking to the Tinubu government right now that is a very bad policy.
All right.
Politics aside, it's a bad policy.
All right. So, bad policy on the federal level. Is there something that can be done locally, subnationally, on the state
Yes,
level
absolutely.
to remedy it or protect, the state from this?
Absolutely.
In your opinion, a bad policy from the federal government. Is there something that can be done here to?
Yes, I'm excited. You can see I'm smiling. I'm excited about that question.
All right, go ahead.
I have also said that look at what's happening. All the major beverage companies, all the major snack companies, all the major companies, Unilever, I'm sorry, permit me to call the name, nobody paid me to, Unilever, Patterson, Zoconis, all PZ, all those companies, they're in Lagos, they're in the West. Now, can you imagine that the same thing Nigeria is suffering on the national level is what we're suffering on the state level? These industries are not domiciled in Enugu. So for me and you to drink any chocolate beverage, our money has to go to Lagos. So what is that doing? The same Lagos, they are bragging that it is the best state in Nigeria. It is the most advanced state in Nigeria. Tinubu did this in Lagos and Tinubu did that in Lagos. It is your money and my money that is building Lagos. And our governors have failed to see that. And so we're taking all the money we make in Enugu and we are giving it to these agents. I call them agents. These agents at Oweteme Market. These agents at Kenyatta Market. These agents at different markets in Enugu are taking your money and my money and shipping them to Lagos to acquire these commodities that we consume on a daily basis. Isn't it simple to realize that instead of sending our monies to this state, to the western part of Nigeria, all we need to do is to put industries here that will manufacture these things Enugu State citizens consume on a daily basis. Toothpick, yes, put the factory here. Noodles, put the factory here. Spaghetti, put the factories here. Clothing, put the factories here. Shoes, put the factory here. Name it. Any product that we consume in Enugu State, the factories should be here in Enugu producing them.
But the factories would look at whether or not it's viable for them.
No. Listen, let me tell you, it will be viable.
It will?
It will be viable because when we start putting them here, I'll explain to you that.
Right.
When we start consuming locally, what will happen is that our monies will stop going out. The money will stay within the state.
No, there wouldn't be anything restricting people from going out. There will still be some agents who would
give
go
them
out.
give them a viable alternative. The government has to come out and say, hey, listen, Enugu, it's a partnership. This project to fix Enugu will be a private-public partnership, right? And so what we will do as government is that we will give the enabling environment. We will attract industries. We will invest in industries the much we can. We will attract foreign investors and other local investors from different parts of Nigeria to come and invest in industries in Enugu. We are going to ensure through the quality assessment project that they are going to produce quality projects. But what we ask you as an Enugu citizen is that Enugu State has to come up with an emblem called a made in Enugu emblem. You know, rebrand Enugu, made in Enugu, make it a brand. A made in Enugu project. And then you ask the people of Enugu, any product that we put our seal, our emblem on as a made in Enugu product, please patronize it. It's that simple. What that means is that we will have to give them a product that is as good as every other beverage coming from the West. And because it's produced locally, you cut out the cost of freight from Lagos to Enugu. It doesn't have a choice. It will be cheaper than that one coming from Lagos because you cut out the cost of transportation and freight and all the vehicle logistics and all of that. Now, it's good quality, but you cut out the cost, extra cost. The product will be cheaper. Enugu will buy it. And when Enugu starts consuming Enugu products, the industries will become profitable and attract more industries. Now, whatever excesses we have to now start exporting. Now, the other thing I need the Enugu State government to do is to proactively, chair a meeting between, not necessarily chair, but call on all the other states of the Southeast. And then liaise with the federal government to allow you to build a rail line that connects all the 5 eastern states and the south states that goes all the way to On Airport. On Airport, yes. On Airport is open. People are exporting through On Airport. A lot of citizens in the Southeast don't know. Right? So you don't have to go to Lagos to export. There are products that are going through On Air. But we need to sit down as 5 southeastern states. The governors have to liaise with the federal government. If there are any bottlenecks, clear it out. And let's build a rail line. I'm telling you, I can find the funds. I know how these things are done. That's the other thing the state has to do. Get people who know how to get these developmental funds. I don't even think that taking a loan, is a 170 billion loan, is the best way. Even though if it's invested right, there's no problem. But there are other ways to find money to do funds. Right? There are developmental project funds are available internationally. Find people who know how to source these funds. They will get the funds. If you allow me, I can find you the funds to build a rail line from here to On Air. And so that rail line will cut across every southeastern state and allows us, when we set up industries, to export our excesses. Listen, fixing Enugu State is not rocket science. It's this simple.
So you think it's something that must begin, from the bottom up, because Enugu is, the root for us. And
yes.
you've talked about something about an emblem now,
yes.
Made in Enugu emblem. You believe this branding is something that might just help.
Absolutely, very necessary.
Whatever is coming up.
Very necessary. Very necessary, because it will be a seal of approval.
What
from
if
the
every
state
other
government.
state begins to do made in their own
It doesn't
state?
matter. Let them do it. We want it. What we want to make the Southeast is an oasis in the middle of a desert. And one of the ways to do it is to heavily industrialize the Southeast. It benefits us. What that will do is it will attract investment. People are going to begin to say from all over Nigeria, things are happening in South. It happened in Brazil. People used to want to go to Sao Paulo, all the major cities, Rio de Janeiro, right? And left their own cities to come to these urban cities. When Lula da Silva came in, Lula da Silva changed the dynamics of investment and moved investment to these other areas that were disadvantaged. And so when industry started moving there, it started attracting investment, and people had to leave, decongest the cities, and went back to their areas because the development had come there. What we want to see in the Southeast is development, scaling of industries, Anambra, Enugu, Abia, good roads, good water. You know, once you do that, Enugu becomes a viable investment. The Southeast, not just Enugu, becomes a viable investment sector. Now, what's going to happen is that industries are going to start coming from overseas and from within Nigeria. Minimum wage will ordinarily, the salaries will begin to increase. You know, as salaries increase, spending power of the families increase. And so the more the families spend, the more successful these businesses become. And then it begins to shine all of a sudden. Enugu and the Southeast will begin to shine all of a sudden. China will notice us. The rest of Nigeria will notice us. America will notice us. Investments will start to come. A lot of our teeming youths who don't have jobs, who are doing crime as a way of survival, will have jobs. When they had jobs, you get up in the morning 6 o'clock and you get ready for work. By 8 o'clock, you're working. When you return home by 6, you're tired. You want to go to the bed. You don't want to go to a beer parlor where you sit down and start talking about hemp or crimes that you will commit, because you're busy now. And nobody tastes a good life and would choose a life of crime. The reason most young people are doing crime is because they don't have an alternative. Give them jobs. And the way you can give them jobs is naturally create an enabling environment for industries to be scaled. Jobs will be available, and these young people will have jobs. Then they can actually have hope to get married and build their own beautiful families, right? Dignity will be restored to the Southeast. Crime will abate. Of course, you have to invest more in the police force. And I also recommend actually that we begin to actually bring in some kind of private security outfits, international private security outfits that will work with our police. This is international practice. You know, you have different, I won't call names, but you have different ones like that.
But the state government can do that on their own.
But that's why
as at now.
I agree, but that's why you have to come together as a Southeast region and begin to push these things. Policies are changed. Policies are always implemented, but you have to ask for them. If you come together as a region, the 5 Southeast states, even the South can join if they want, and then you become a pressure group and begin to pressure the government. You can get what you want. But what we are looking for is political will. Listen, Yagaze, I'm all over the place because really I'm passionate about Enugu. I know how to get it working. But I'm frustrated that we've been talking about these for years and nobody's listening, right? First of all, scale industries. Find security, some kind of security outfit. Give all the police, do like it did a couple of years ago, a joint task force with the army and the police. Give them good vehicles, right? Fund them, fuel their vehicles. Give them patrol cars. Make sure that they are everywhere you turn, there's a patrol vehicle. Do that in Enugu. Enugu will return, you would have returned some kind of sanity. That will be an encouragement for any investor to say, okay, Southeast is safe. Now I can go to the Southeast. Now, with this industry scaling, you will have commodities, cheap commodities, you have jobs, but then again, export is absolutely very important. I'm actually developing an export project that I hope to send to them. I don't know anybody in the government, but hopefully if they're listening, export has to be activated in Enugu.
Yeah, I believe there are some plans about that. The state government has talked about it. We hope to see, extensively what this would entail.